I'm here with Constance Malloy at Wonderland Bookstore in Shorewood, and thank you for joining us. I'd love to hear about your big why, how you got started as an entrepreneur, starting your own dance studio, to becoming an author, now publisher, and everything in between. So, what is your big why?
So I would have to say my big why is children, because I had in my life dance instructors who changed my life. The idea that you can be more than a teacher of whatever the thing is you're teaching for children is, to me, just an amazing, I don't want to use the word power because of course power can be abused, but it's a gift to be able to look at a child who doesn't believe they can do something and say, but I know you can, and I'm going to help you get to that place. And so what made me open my own dance studio is just truly an entrepreneurial mindset. I knew how I wanted my studio to be. I had taught under a very good director of a dance studio for several years and saw how she did things and how I would do things differently. And then before I opened my own studio, I was a director of that. So it was Salto Gymnastics. I was the director of their dance department. And so I got to try things out. And then by the time I opened my own studio, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But I'm choreographer, I'm dance teacher, I'm recital creator, all facets of it I love. Wow. And so that it's just, at that point in time, it's just this huge joy that you bring to kids. And what I have now learned, a couple years ago, I was invited to a former student's wedding of a child I had taught from the time she was 3 until she graduated. And her father, in his speech, brought up what I had been to the whole family. And I was just amazed, like just what the whole experience of coming to my recitals, having their daughter at my studio. And I was like, wow, that is, you just are doing without knowing. You're just doing what you believe in and passing that along. But so at 13, I knew I wanted to dance and I knew I wanted to write. And because you're not going to start dancing, you don't start dancing second. It's like, I'm going to dance until I'm 30 and then start a writing career. But at 30, I had not even opened my dance studio yet. I did that when I was 35. I had a child at 42 and stopped dancing when she was 2. And then I started writing. And the first book I wrote was a memoir that is also part of my why, which is I have a rather traumatic childhood, that I have broken all of those dynamics that I was raised in. I am not passing them on to my child. And that is really what's encompassed in my first book. My first book, Tornado Dreams, which is available on Amazon. Orange Hat Publishing in Waukesha published this book. Born of Water, which is the second book I wrote. I am reissuing this book, and that's how I got to my press, which I'll say in a second, but this came out in 2024. And this was a book where I was at a residency at right on Door County in Fish Creek, outside of Fish Creek. It's a beautiful, lovely place. If anybody is listening to this who's a writer and you want to apply for a residency to go to a wonderful place right on Door County, I finished this book during that residency, and I was sitting in their beautiful writing studio. And there is an author whose name is Ursula K. Le Guin, who is a muse of mine, if you will. But I was sitting there by myself, and I'm like, I know how I want to write this, but I don't know how people will take that. And it was like, Ursula is long past, but it was like she sat down next to me and she was just like, would you just write the book you want to write? And if Ursula K. Le Guin tells you this, you do what this woman says. And I did. And this book was very transformational for me in my writing. So the publisher that published this book, it has not been a great experience. And so after my year contract was up, I was like, I've always had this press that I wanted to start. And I'm just going to do that because now I can take my book and I'm reissuing it this August as Born of Water Revised. However, she has still not taken this down off Amazon. I will not get any royalties for it, but she has not taken it down if it sells. So if there's anyone interested in it, wait until after August. In that press, I had a story that I wrote for my dance students in the late 90s that was called Farmer Ted's Pumpkin Patch. And it was tied into this story that I would do with my children at Halloween. And my daughter read this. I read it to her when she was very little, and she loved the book. She's loved it every year. And my daughter is very artistic. She has just finished her junior year in high school. And last fall I went to her and I'm like, if I'm going to do this press, how about you illustrate Farmer Ted? I clean up the text and we do a book. And here's Farmer Ted's Pumpkin Patch. And she did all the illustrations. She actually illustrated the logo for my press. And this was the most fun that I have had. She would say it was a little stressful for her because it was during the beginning of the school year. But it's just a great thing to be able to do with her. There's one other story that we're going to do together. And then a trilogy that I am working on, an adult book. She's actually going to do the cover for that. And so it's just, I have all these ideas in my head, and I'm writing is very much like choreographing. I mean, this was like putting together a recital. What do we want the cover to look like? And we put together the table of contents, and how do we want to organize the illustrations? Right. And it's just a lot of fun. And I know I have friends who are like writers, and that's it. That's what they do, and they don't want to think about anything else. And I have a lot of fun putting the whole thing together.
Yeah. And
so it's just what I'm doing now. But I would have to say that the biggest why is it's going outside of yourself. And like the story that I'm currently working on right now, it's just like, I love it. I don't know how many people will or won't, but it's just so fun. It's fun to write. It's fun to create these worlds. And if I can take anyone into that and say, here, come enjoy this, I'm like, that's a great day. And so that's really my why, just bringing stories to people. I did it in my dance studio. I still do it. And
it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's wonderful and very inspiring. And I love how you work with your daughter, and that can continue on for years to come.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.